One of my favorite stories about animals, it kind of involves all the animals, and it's about Flint. Now,
Mhm.
most people, you think of Flint, it's what we made the arrowheads out of and the spears. And the way the story goes, or the way that I was always told it, is that in the beginning, when Creator made the world, he made the animals first. All of the animals were created, and man came along last. And man was kind of worthless in the fact that the animals watched us and felt really sorry for us because we didn't have any big fangs or teeth to defend ourselves, no sharp claws, no thick fur. We had just our skins, um, and we were very susceptible to weather, and it was hard for us to survive, and so the animals took pity on us, and they taught us everything we needed to know. They taught us language, they taught us how to find food. They taught us how to clothe ourselves and how to build homes. They were very helpful to humans and give us all this knowledge, where to find things and what to do. And things went very, very well until the humans began to increase in their population. And the population went up and up and up. And when that happens, the humans got hungry. And so the humans, the people, figured out that at the top of a mountain lived this huge creature, this big grayish brown creature who was not the friendliest to say. And he lived in a hole on the side of the mountain. And he would come out during the day. And if he was working or not paying attention, the people would hide in bushes and trees, and they would take a little rock and they would run out. And as soon as he wasn't looking, they would bang him on the elbow or bang him on the heel or bang him on a kneecap if they could get close to him, and a piece of him would break off. And the people would grab this little piece and they would run back into the woods, and pretty soon they would shape it into an arrowhead or a spear point. And once, of course, you attach it to an arrow or a shaft, you have a weapon, and they began to hunt animals and began to eat meat. And of course, the animals did not take kindly to this. They were very upset that these people that they had befriended and they had helped were suddenly now turning on them and hunting them. And it was at that point that the animals decided they would no longer speak to us. So to this day, they don't speak to man because we're out of balance. And they say that it will only go back to us being able to communicate when everything goes back into balance. So the animals at this point said, no, we are through. We are through with man. We're done. And the animals had a big meeting. And all the animals came. Janosch, the buffalo, he came. And Ossi, the eagle. Issi, the deer. You had Kinta, the beaver. You had every animal you can think of. Shawi, raccoon. You had, Coney, the skunk. You had everybody at this meeting. And they're all talking about how do we get rid of man? What do we need to do to protect ourselves? What is the right idea? What do we do? Well, it went back and forth and back and forth. And each would come up with an idea, and it would get shot down by another group. And they would say, well, that won't work. And then, so it went on and on. And finally, Rabbit pipes up. And Rabbit, for Southeastern people, is the trickster. And Rabbit pipes up and he says, you're looking at this the wrong way. It's not the people, it's Flint. We need to get rid of Flint. And if it were me, I would just go up that mountain and kill him. Just take him out. Once you take Flint out, you don't have a problem with people anymore. So all the animals listened, and they said, really? Chookfee, Rabbit, you would go and kill Flint? He said, hey, yeah, I would just walk up that mountain, kill him. So all of the animals said, okay, go get him. Go kill Flint. Rabbit was shocked. He really didn't know what to do. He really didn't know. Oh, he got himself into trouble. But he said, okay. And he set off. And as he's going up the mountain, the whole time he's thinking, he's like, what do I do? What am I going to say? Oh, man, what am I going to do when I get up here and see this Flint guy? This is going to be a nightmare. But he keeps going, and he gets to the top of the mountain, and he bangs on the door. Nothing. He bangs a little harder. Nothing. Finally, he gets up all of his nerve and takes a deep breath, and he bangs on that door, and the door flies open, and Flint goes, "What? What do you want?" Chuffy says, "Hello. I'm Chuffy." And Flint just stared at him. He said, "What?" Now, in native culture, if you come to somebody's house, you invite them in and they feed you and they take care of you. So Chuffy kind of stood hoping that Flint would invite him in, but Flint had no manners and he just stared at him. Chuffy got an idea. He said, "Mr. Flint, I am the best cook in all of the Southeast. I am a fantastic cook. Do you like good food?" And Flint said, "Well, of course I like good food." He said, "If you come to my house tomorrow, I will prepare for you a feast. It will be the best food you have ever had." Flint thought about it. He said, "I don't know. Whenever I leave my house, these little creatures, these little two-legged creatures come out and they hit me on the elbow and they break off pieces of me. And I don't." And he said, "No, no, 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 no. You come to my house. I will protect you. It will be fine." So Flint agreed that he would come to Rabbit's house at noon. He went inside, and Rabbit tore down the mountain as fast as he could to get home. When he got home, he began to prepare. He prepared poke salad. He prepared wild onion. He harvested. He did all, it made everything you could think of. He cooked and cooked and cooked throughout the night. And the next afternoon, he heard boom, 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 coming down the mountain. And the closer he got, things in the house began to shake. And Rabbit, he steeled his heart, took a deep breath. He heard the knock on the door, bam, bam, bam. And he opened the door, and there was Flint. Now, Flint was so big that to get into Rabbit's house was quite a task. It was a huge task. Flint had to squat down, and he pushed his head through the door. And then slowly he pulled a shoulder and an arm, and then he pulled another shoulder and an arm, and he began to literally shimmy through with his torso. And when he got to his legs, he had to kind of pull one leg in, and he had to pull the other leg in, and he sat with a leg running down each side of the table and his head up against the roof and his arms in front of him like this. And Rabbit began to feed him. Oh, Flint began to eat. He began to just stuff himself with all the delicious food. I mean, he just couldn't get enough. He put pashofa and all kinds of traditional meals. Oh, just stuffing in the whole time. Rabbit begins to carve this little stick. And he's working and working on the stick, and Flint stops and he goes, "What are you doing?" Rabbit goes, "No, no, no, nothing. I just like to keep my hands busy. I'm busy." Flint began to eat more, and Rabbit put out more food, and then Rabbit started really carving the stick, really working on it. Flint says, "What are you doing?" And Rabbit says, "No, nothing, just working." Well, after the big meal, Flint said, "Well, it's time to go home." And Chuffy said, "No, no, no, you're tired. Are you not tired? Are you sleepy?" Flint said, "Well, a little." He said, "Well, take a nap here, just a little nap. Then you go home." So Flint pushed the table back as far as he could, and he kind of slid down, and he slowly began to go to sleep. Rabbit listened, and when he thought he was good and asleep, Rabbit climbed over to Flint. He began to poke him. "Flint, Mr. Flint, Flint." Nothing. "Mr. Flint, Flint." Nothing, just more. Rabbit climbed up on top of Flint, and he was sitting right here on his stomach. Flint was breathing so hard that Rabbit was literally going up and down, almost looked like Rabbit was surfing. Rabbit picked up that spear. As Flint breathed in, he went bam, and he hit, and Flint began to explode. He literally exploded into millions of pieces. He blew the roof off of Rabbit's house. Rabbit got knocked behind a table. He kept his head down, and Flint began to rain down into the woods and the trees and water. Just it got quiet, and Rabbit thought it was all over. And slowly he poked his head up over the table. And when he did, the last piece of flint fell out of the sky and it slit Rabbit's nose. To this day, if you see Rabbit and any of his babies, they all have a slit that runs right down the middle of their nose, and it reminds them to keep their nose in their own business. And if you find a piece of flint in the forest or in the woods, now you know how he got there. And that's the story of Flint.